Afternoon, good afternoon. How y'all doing? How are y'all doing? Right, let's give another 10 minutes. Wait for people to roll in. Well, it was a close one. About 15 minutes ago, absolutely howking it down. Hailstones of all things. Crazy British weather. A day ago, basking in the back garden in sunshine. Today, hailstones. What's going on? Hey! Hi! Right, let's get myself set up. Shut up, mate. Pop out chat. Let's see who's participating. See if chat's going to behave itself better than it did last week. Remember last week it was saying there was only 2 people in the chat, which was factually incorrect. Looks like it's better this time. We've got Alex, we've got Chad, Jeff, Loon, Mark, and Parametric. Say hello if you're here. And hello to all the non-members. How are you doing? You're more than welcome. So this is the TFI support desk Q&A. It's an hour live stream that we do every Friday. We're kind of still in the experimental phase, if I'm honest. Like it's been quiet the last couple of weeks, so we'll see how it goes. If it turns out that I'm just kind of filling time for an hour, then I don't know. I might adjust the format. You did not misbehave in chat. Well, I'll be the judge of that. Greetings and salutations. Hey, has anyone seen what? I don't know. Don't suppose anyone's got me on LinkedIn. I don't know if you've got me on LinkedIn, but this is my. Can I share my desktop? Of course, I can share my desktop. I'll bring up a couple of bits and pieces that I've been doing. I shared them in Discord before. This is what I've been doing this last couple of days, playing around with cars, because that's what I love to do. Where are you at? Dropbox. Ferrari F40. Drag that there. Drag you there, and then you drag... Oh, come on. Drag you there. Right, desktop. So... yeah, this is what I've been doing the last couple of days. Been experimenting with like silhouette art in VRED. So I don't know. I enjoy doing that. You take a model, bring a model in, and then there's actually very little you've got to do to it. I could knock out one of these in about 15 minutes. So essentially, you make the entire car like a shiny metal, whether it's chrome or aluminium or any other complete almost mirror finish metal, and then you turn the entire environment pitch black and then set the scene up with area lights, which give us a kind of highlight, a sort of nice edging along the lines of the car. And then it started off with a Ferrari, and they had the Ferrari badge on the side of the F40. And that was like a nice sort of pop-out, standout feature for the F40. And then the next one I moved on to was the Porsche 911 GT3 RS, which didn't have a badge, so I couldn't really make anything else stand out on that one. So I thought I'd accentuate a couple more of the lines on the Porsche 911 and then add a bit more facts along the bottom. I quite like this. This is sort of wall art territory. If I had a decent enough printer, I'd probably print these off and frame them and put them on my own wall. Quite like doing them. And the last one I did, which I kind of did in a bit of a hurry, was this one, the M3 E30 Sport Evolution, which I love that car. It's slow now. I used to have an E30, not an M3, but I used to have an E30 BMW. And I love the shape of them. They haven't aged very well, but I love the shape of them. But I had a couple of requests from people on LinkedIn, like old American muscle cars, and okay, yeah, I'll do that. So I'm going to try and dig up a Shelby GT500 1967, the Eleanor car from Gone in 60 Seconds. We'll try and dig one of them up Pontiac Trans Am. See if I can get a hold of a model of one of them. That'll look nice in a silhouette. Yeah, I kind of do wish I could. I kind of do wish I could model them myself, but then it's back to the old, oh, why don't you do iLogic thing? It's like I've got to draw the line somewhere with what you do. You've got to draw the line, and I think surface modeling is, Class A surface modeling to the point where you can model entire cars is probably where I draw the line. I mean, I could probably get away with modeling something in Maya or Max, or not now, but learning enough about it to be able to, bring in a few blueprints, scatter them around, arrange them so that you can surface model from blueprints. I could probably follow a few tutorials to do that, but I just find that most of the cars that I want to render up, they've already been done. So I just don't have the motivation really to do it. And I'm just too much of a perfectionist. Like, if I'm going to be a perfectionist, I'd rather put that into the final part of it where you make it look really good. If I was a perfectionist and I was modeling the car, I'd probably never get around to rendering it, and I'd spend so much time trying to perfect the details of the modeling that I'd get sick and tired of it. I'd get so bored by the time I get to this point that I'd never finish it. And the length of my perfectionism, it's like, you remember the video that I did with the M4 for the NVIDIA RTX GPU ray trace and stuff. Like, that model, I've got that car. My car's in it. I've got an M4, so I know that interior obviously very well. And there's certain bits and pieces in that interior that just did not correct. Like the iDrive wheel was wrong. It was too small. I was like, I want to fix that. Like, why do I want to fix that? It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter, but it kind of did. And those are the things that I'd end up spending way too much time on. Yeah, I see. I know what you mean, Loon. Yeah, like, because 3D Max is very approximate, and it's a different. I mean, VRED's a completely different mindset to something like Inventor. But it's just the learning curve going through something. Like, I managed to get my way through VRED, but then after that, I think I said to myself, that's like the last learning curve I'm going through really for a long time. Unless like something happens and there's something so compelling. Tell you what, the next big learning curve I might go through would probably be Unreal Engine. That would probably be the next one that I'd go through if I was to go through another big learning curve. Because Unreal Engine 5 looks, pardon the expression, unreal. It looks amazing. So I'd quite fancy doing Unreal Engine, but yeah, I think 3D Studio Max and Maya and all those, that's heavy stuff, man. That's really heavy. How's the stream looking? I'm getting warnings off YouTube here saying that the stream's current bitrate is lower than the recommended thing. I don't know why. I'm on the UK's fastest broadband. I don't know why bitrate would be lower than what the recommended one would be. And my little stream preview spinning around. I'll give it a refresh, see what's going on. We're good. So yeah, those are my things I've been playing with these last couple of days. I quite enjoyed doing them. Like I say, once you've got the scene set up, you essentially reuse, as long as the cars are the same size, which they roughly are. The F40 and the Porsche and the BMW, they're all sort of roughly the same size within sort of half a meter or so. You just remove one of the models, put in another one, and then they all fit within the same area lights in the same scene, and then you just swap the materials out, and then you've got yourself the next one. So yeah, it works quite well. And then you drop it into Photoshop, you bring the little badges on. That's what I like doing. Feed's great, good. Right, it's just YouTube just trolling me. It still says it. It says, to show you, your stream's current bitrate is one big warning triangle. Okay. Fair enough. If we good, we good. So yeah, what I'm going to do for this stream, mate, I'm going to see how many turn up. So currently it says that there's 20 concurrent viewers. If we don't get any more than like 25, I might just, I'll have a chat with you lot, all the members, and I'll see what we want to do. Because it's not worth, like, it's not much of a live stream if there's only 25 people turning up. So we'll have a chat after it's done, and we'll see where you want to go with this. What I fancy doing is more just regular live streams, just to build more interest in it. I've observed other channels who've been live streaming, they do it like every single day, and that's how more people realize and figure out what a live stream is, and then kind of get hooked on it and end up watching it. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, for like 20 to 30 people on a live stream, it's not a great amount of people, and especially when there's only sort of a handful of members actually talking in it as well. So we'll see how it goes. So has anyone got any questions? Anything you want us to fire up Inventor and have a look at, or are we just here to chat? We're just here to waffle on. I can do that. I can do that as well. Update on the streaming PC in the daft super chat thing. I've swapped out. Well, I got in touch with XSplit, who are the guys that make the widget that should have fired the little audio thing. And they were like, "Oh, you need to send us the logs." I was like, "Mate, I haven't got flipping logs." "Oh no, you need to enable this thing, and then send us the logs." And I was like, "Okay." And then 3 days later, they were like, "Can you please send us the logs?" I was like, "Mate, I haven't done a live stream yet. I can't send you any logs. I haven't done a live stream." "Oh, okay." But I think it might have been because I had a Quadro in that. I don't know. I've swapped out the Quadro and put a GeForce card in it, because I've noticed with XSplit you sometimes get funky, weird things going on with a Quadro card in. So I've swapped that out and put a GeForce in. So we'll see how that goes on the normal streams. Can you get enough of me every day? The wife says yes. I don't know. For me, it's finding what to do, what to talk about. I probably could. I mean, I couldn't do Inventor stuff all day every day, because like I've said on many occasions, I'm not a designer. I don't design stuff. I don't do product design. I don't do engineering. So I couldn't just fire up Inventor and do stuff. But VRED and that, I could do that. That's kind of what I'm into at the moment. Could easily do that. But what I've found doing the last couple of VRED streams where I've been rendering up like the Formula One car, it's very easy to get distracted. Very easy to get distracted. You end up, you bring the car in and you sort of set your shadows up and that, and you set up a couple of materials up, and you're reading the chat, and then you start responding to someone, and then before you know it, half an hour's gone by and the car's just not moved on screen. You're like, I haven't really got very far with that. But then, no, that's a live stream, isn't it? It's interaction. Discovered something funny today. We have an assembly, and our engineer created a surface in a part, and that surface represents a safety distance. It's a strange thing to do. On the drawing, every part in that surface, on the drawing, every part in that surface becomes invisible. No, I don't get that. Because the surface is transparent, it would not hide the... right. I had something similar with that last week. A couple of our drafties had decided to get a bit experimentational, and they'd imported... I don't know, what did they do? They derived in an existing plate. So picture a big metal plate, right? I don't know, 3 meters by a meter or something. So they derived the plate in to a new model, and they were using that as the base point, the reference point for modeling a new plate. It was like a cut-out template. So they derived it in, and then started the new sketch for the new plate, using the dimensions in the back of this derived one as sort of the reference. But they derived in the old plate as a surface. So when this new part ended up getting placed in an assembly, and that assembly ended up getting used in a drawing, these surfaces, which were turned off, that were invisible in the part, if you switch to the master view rep in the drawn view, all these surfaces just suddenly switched on, and it started hiding all of the stuff behind them. and all these random lines started appearing, and nobody knew what they were, because I did, because I dug down. So you turn on shaded views in the drawings, and you sort of spin around these orange things on the screen. You're like, my surfaces, mate. So yeah, you've got to be a bit careful with surfaces and with drawings. But that's just one of the things. Yeah, it's just being careful with new ideas, isn't it? It's like you can come up with a new idea for like, all right, we can make a surface and it represents this, but then you kind of have to think about. It's managing. That's what a CAD manager's for, I guess. It's making sure people don't get carried away with imaginative ideas without thinking about how it impacts other stuff. It's just an internal thing that if you can, try and manage it. Chippies, yeah. Did they derive it as a work surface? No. It was just derived in as its 1-to-1 as its model was, but I think it was derived in as a composite, so it came in as a surface. I don't know who did it. I don't know why they did it, but it was there. It was just one of those things where like a surface just appeared. Like, why is that there? Who did that? It was just unusual. You know, we've been using Inventor for like 15, 20 years probably by this point. I remember about 15 years. And we had the modelling technique sort of nailed down, and then all of a sudden you just suddenly get random people trying new things, which is good. In some instances it can be good, but then you get unforeseen side effects of new things that get tried, which it's fine. Sometimes the benefits of what people are trying to do can outweigh the negatives, as long as you manage the negatives. It's like this one where the guy who derived the original part into the new one probably saved himself a canny bit of time doing that. And the downside of that was when someone else enabled the master view rep in the drawer and these services appeared. I mean, the answer to that is, do you need to enable the master view rep in the drawing? If not, well then don't. And then this guy who made the original drawing saved a bunch of time. You've got a productivity saving at the start of the job, and then people just have to know not to enable that master view rep. Do you need the master view rep? Probably not. I mean, that's why there's a default one. The master one's locked. So is it the end of the world that you can't use the master view rep in a drawn view? Probably not. You would love it if your users became creative. It's just for that exact reason, mate. It's got ups and downs with it. Some people can get carried away with being creative, which there's pros and cons to that. More pros than cons, obviously. The pros to it is that you want people that are creative. You want people that are inquisitive, that think and want to get better. You want people who want to improve and look for different ways of doing things, and it shows an interest in what they're doing, and it shows it shows that they're engaged in what they're doing, and they want to help themselves, and that's kind of all part of that creativity process. So that's the pros of it. The cons of it is that sometimes they can get carried away. They can do things that they don't understand what the consequences are long term. Like people, for example, getting carried away with using virtual parts in Inventor when they're using Vault Professional, not knowing that in some instances virtual parts can really cause problems with Vault Professional's Item Master. It can be an absolute nightmare. You know, there's just sometimes things have to be managed, and if it's a big office and there's lots of users, you can't just have people doing their own thing. Be creative, but do it in the proper channels. You know, come up with have a forum of some sort. Someone's got ideas, log it internally, and have someone evaluate it. That's probably the best way of going about it. And then, of course, the flip side of that is the people who aren't creative, and it's one of my pet hates. Are the guys who just have no inclination whatsoever to help themselves. You know, if they hit a problem, they just shut down. You know, an error message or not even an error, like a warning or a prompt appears on screen, and they just as a human they just shut down. I don't know what I'm reading. I don't want to read it, or I don't feel like I'm capable of reading it. I'm just going to send an email to Neil and then ask him to explain what it is and fix it. It's like, mate, the message tells you what the problem is. Just read it. Use your head. You're an engineer. You're an adult. Just read it. Sometimes just a quick Google search, just show a bit of interest. I don't know. It's just some ways some people are wired up. Some people are just brought up to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask. And then I think they take it too far. Ask for everything. No, you're not late at the party, mate. We're stretched to call it a party. We're just chatting. View settings, realistic shaded, and all that. It was. If you're talking about Mark, if you're talking to me or Loon, I don't know if you're talking to me or Loon, but for me, it was just regular hidden lines, non-shaded views. The surfaces were just there. It was weird, I must admit. I hadn't seen that before. I hadn't seen a surface appear in a non-shaded view, even when the setting to disable surfaces had been turned off. Well, turned on. So surfaces shouldn't have been shown, but they were there. They were visible on screen. And it looked like you were looking at genuine... The draftsman who raised it with me thought that when he was enabling the master view rep, Inventor was flipping and reversing and rotating his actual parts. That's what it looked like. It looked like Inventor was taking one of the plates and then rotating it. But what was happening was it was enabling a surface model, showing it as an outline, and then hiding everything behind it. And you'd only noticed it was a surface when you turned shaded view on the views, and then you saw this orange shaded region. It was weird. Never seen it before. Autodesk's horrendous with their error messages. Horrendous. They're getting better, but I understand the challenges they've got with it, but I struggle to have too much empathy with it, because it's a big part as a user of understanding what's gone wrong and then fixing it. And error messages have a massive impact on productivity. Not just in Inventor, but in Vault, in AutoCAD, in every program. You hit an error and you've got no idea what that error means. You can spend an insane amount of time trying to figure out what you've got to do to fix the problem before you can even start fixing it, because of error messages. And Vault is the worst for it. It's getting better. Vault is getting better. But there's some hilariously comical error messages thrown at you in Autodesk software. Like error 0. Error 0. Cataclysmic error. Something like that, yeah. Great story, bro. Tell us it again. What does that even mean? But I think one of the things they really have to get a grip on, and it's something that plagues me every day, and the users that I'm supposed to be kind of keeping a handle on every day, is when you open up an Inventor assembly and it asks you whether you want to update the assembly. You see every single thing you open up. Do you want to update it? Yes or no? They've got to do better with that prompt. They have to. The Inventor knows what it's updating. Like it's unreasonable for you to say, tell me what it's doing. It's unreasonable to say, what are you doing? Are you updating Revolve 12 because it's been edited by John 16 days ago and you haven't opened it since? That's unreasonable to expect that kind of level of detail. But don't just say, I'm opening up 1,000 parts and it needs updated. That's absolutely no use to anyone. But if you kind of got to say no, because if you say yes in a vaulted environment, you end up dirtying thousands of parts. Even if they're released, it still goes through and dirties released files that shouldn't ever be touched. It's embarrassing when you see it happen. It's like no CAD program should be implicitly editing released locked files in this, in this far down the line, in 2020. But that's what happens. Can you send Inventor files in the Discord? I think so. I think there's a file size limit though on Discord. I think it's roughly sort of 8 megabytes. But yeah, you can. What you sending? If it's the CAD challenge, just email that to me. But if it's something else, just go for it. So, my error messages are. I think it's probably one of those things that I don't think that they put it very high up on the priority list. Every year when the new updates come around and what we're going to work on for the next release, I just don't think it's that kind of thing that they put very high up on the list of things to do. But ever had a sketch disappear while sketching on a part in an assembly? I did, then closed it, and the sketch showed up but wasn't in the tree. What? Sketch disappeared while sketching on a part in an assembly. Is that an assembly sketch then? You're not using an AMD graphics card, are you? That sounds very AMD-ish behavior. Confirm. Citation required. Are you using an AMD graphics card? It was on a part. So I suppose you were you're editing the part. So you're in an assembly. You've probably double-clicked. On some videos and bugger. That would have been a hilarious story. All right. So you've double-clicked into a part, create a sketch, and you closed it, and the sketch showed up, but wasn't in the tree. The only thing I can think is I don't know. The only situation that I can foresee that happening is you've double clicked in the part in the assembly. So you've went into in-place editing. And when you do that, obviously it goes into part mode in the tree and you see the feature set of the part. So you see the sketches. But then when you click return and you come out of part mode and then into assembly mode, it hides all the sketches. But I assume you're not talking about that. And all the line work vanished. Yeah, I don't know, mate. No, I've not heard anything like that. That sounds like one of those things where if you get something like that, and try and repeat it. It's like if it can be repeated, then you've possibly come across a bug. If it can't be repeated, at this point in my life, I've kind of I've realised to just let it go. Just let it go. I mean, you can log it on a forum. You can go on the Inventor forums and you can say to Autodesk, look, this happened. I can't reproduce it, but this happened. But Autodesk just tend to go, well, we can't reproduce it. So, if you can't give us steps that we can reproduce it, there's not a lot we can do. And they're not really inclined to follow it up. So by now I just don't bother because I know that they're not going to bother either. So so unless you can reproduce it and send out steps for someone else to do it, and I would just put it down to a glitch maybe, and sometimes it does just glitch out. But I've never come across that. Saved and moved on. Yeah. Probably best to do that. Have you ever moved parts out of a library in Vault? Oh, fucking iParts. Oh, man. I knew I shouldn't have let you lot ask questions. Oh, God. I've tried, mate. I have tried. It's horrible. Yeah. It's so horrible that I've kind of just stopped using iParts, and I haven't banned them where I work, but I'm not encouraging anyone to use iParts. If memory serves me right, the last time I tried to do this was I was managing a vault in the UK and a vault in Australia, and I had to merge the two vaults together. It was a big job, but there was a lot of duplicate parts of the two vaults, so I had to take all of the data in one vault and essentially move it. I use the data transfer utility, move it into a new set of folders, and the iParts just wouldn't budge. And I think it was the children of the iPart. So you've got your master iPart, and then you've got the files that it creates. I can't remember the name it called, the generated files that the iPart creates, and it just wouldn't move them. And I still, for the life of me, don't know why. I don't think I've ever had an explanation from Autodesk as to why they won't let you move them. And to be honest, I've not tried in a couple of years. I must admit, I've not tried in probably 3 or 4 years to do that. I've not read anything that it's changed, but it might have. I don't know. But yes, I have tried it, and it was an absolute nightmare. It was horrible. So I just try and dodge iParts when I'm involved. It's the same with it's probably the same with assemblies, I would have thought as well. But because it is such, well, it's not even a nightmare. It was impossible to move iParts around Vault. It was like, how terrifying is that? You kind of check something into Vault and that's it. You're committed to it being there forever. There was nothing you could do to move it other than delete it. You could delete the children of the iPart, but then you're just smashing a whole bunch of relationships. You're absolutely destroying a whole bunch of data. You can generate you could generate the children again. It's all part of a table. Obviously, an iPart is a table, so you can regenerate the children that you've deleted, but any links and references to those children have been destroyed. You just say, why is this happening? What's going on here? I mean, yeah, well, that's what you've just said. So you've just said that there, Loon. Yeah, you can't do that. It just depends on like what kind of scale you're talking about. If it's only a handful of parts, then whether maybe a dozen or so references, or even up to like 100 references, you've got to fix. Sure, but I think when I was doing it, we were talking like tens of thousands of references to these iPart children. It was impossible to do that. So yeah, just probably, go for it then. Yeah. What have you tried to delete them, and it's not letting you? If so, what version of Vault are you on? I'm just curious to see if it's still an issue in a new version of Vault. I might look into that actually. It's got to be. There's got to be. Like, I know it's right. Like, you can't move them, but then like part of my brain goes, why? How is that allowed? Autodesk can't say to you can't move your data around. It's not very professional data management-y of them. A high-end data management solution, but you can't move them files. They're stuck. They're staying where they are. Why? Because they're iParts. What's that got to do with it? It's a factory. Well, factories move all the time. I don't know. It's sure it's a database, but the whole point of Vault is that it knows all the references. And is it a database though? I mean, it is. An iPart is a database in itself, but I mean, maybe it's because of that. So yeah, sure. You've got the master iPart. You generate a child, and then in terms of Vault, that's just a parent-child link. So master iPart is in folder A, child is in folder B. So Vault can manage that link, but I guess maybe the iPart table also needs to know where that link is, and Vault can't write into that table. But sort it out. Come on. Just do what you've got to do to make it work. I mean, by this point, how long's Autodesk, Vault, and Inventor been, kind of like that? Yeah, you just don't want to hear like, oh, it can't do this, or it's a bit tricky. Yeah, nobody wants to hear that at this point in time. Just sort it out. If you've got issues, if something's a little bit tricky and it sounds like hard work, just do it, man. You're charging people a fortune for this software, just get it done. That's Vault 2019. Well, it's a couple of years old now. I've been doing what's news for Vault for the last couple of years, and I've not read anything about iParts in the last couple of years. Must admit though, I did graze over Vault 2020, which I was particularly angry at. I was expecting big things from Vault 2020, because Inventor 2020 was quite a big release. There was a lot in there, and it's 2020. It was 2020. It's like a big round number. It's like 2020. It was like, a lot of companies should use that as the opportunity. It's like iPhone 10. Do you know what I mean? Like Samsung Galaxy S10 is the big flagship. Loads of new features. Big round number. Good opportunity to sort of hit the customers with massive features. Capitalize on this big round number. And Vault 2020 was an absolute flop. It was horrible. There was a couple of bits and pieces in there, but there's so much. I was expecting so much from it, but it just, yeah. I was so angry with it at the time that I didn't even bother doing a watch new video on it. I was so angry with it. 2020 was in 2019. Yeah, I'm talking about the product version, not like the year they released it. I mean the product version. So Vault 2020 is the big flagship. I don't mean the year they released it in. So yeah, I don't know. The thing is with iParts, like the company that I work in, we don't have a massive need for iParts. Like we can get away with doing what we do without iParts. So I've not really had a need to investigate them too much. I mean, it was Content Center. The Content Center is obviously iParts. That's the Content Center is built on iParts, but we've never really needed to make our own. So it's not something I've investigated too much. But anyway, so I've got a new video for all you members. There's a video which I uploaded about 3 or 4 days ago. It hasn't gone live yet. I'm kind of hesitant, but I'm trying to work out how frequent to release members only videos. So there's one there waiting for you, and I'm probably going to release that. EB, welcome mate, welcome to the big time. Speaking of which, EB, you'll be getting this new video too. So yeah, I'm probably going to release it in the next couple of days, and I think I might do like maybe 2 a month, something like that. It's got iLogic in it. New video has iLogic in it. I didn't write any code, but it's got iLogic in it. No, there's no jingle for people who join as a partner. The jingle is just for super chats, but I still don't even think that's working.
Thanks for watching the video.
Yeah, so that's just for super chats, but I don't even think that's working. I was supposed to set the logs up, like I said at the start, for XSplit. The guy was like, set the logs up so when it doesn't work, you can send us the logs, and then we'll find out what's wrong. And I didn't set it up because, like, I'm not even joking, like 10 minutes before the stream started, I was downstairs building bar stools. I was like, oh crap, I've got a live stream in 10 minutes. So I just totally forgot about it. I didn't have time to set the logs up. But I've got myself some new bar stools though. Bonus on that. Nice Barker and Stonehouse velvet, peacock blue velvet bar stools. Oh, there's... How you know you're getting old when you get excited about blue bar stools. Aye, what happened? What happened? But yes, there's a new video coming soon. I'll probably release it over the, maybe Monday. I don't know. Maybe Monday. It's another Inventor tip. And yeah, it's got a bit of iLogic in it, but I didn't write the iLogic. Yeah, but I'm fine with that. It solves a problem using iLogic, but I didn't write the iLogic. iParts recipe. Oh, I like that. The iParts recipe is stored in the database of Content Center and build into a part when it's being created. That's correct for nuts and bolts and washers for the Content Center. Yes. Yes. The iParts recipe is stored in the database of Content Center and build into a part when it's being created. So yeah, so in the Content Center, in fact, I mean, come on, we're on a live stream. I can show you it. I could watch us not have my Content Center installed. So yeah, the Content Center has a big table of data for every nut, bolt, and washer, and then when you pick which bolt you want, it builds the part from the tables. Let's take a look, shall we? But welcome, EB. Welcome along. Check out the community tab on my channel. You'll find the Discord server in there, mate. Check out the link for that. Sign up for Discord. Use the same email for YouTube when you sign up for Discord, and that'll take you into the Discord server where everyone has a great little party. We're having a super little party over there. Right. Content Center. Probably, can we see it in place from Content Center? Come on, grab handles. Can I see the tables in here? I think I can. Wow, these buttons are new. Table view. There we are. There's your iPart table. So that's the Content Center iPart table. So when you place a bolt and it's M6 by, I don't know, 30, so that 6 by 30, and then all of these parameters here are what's used to model the actual bolt. All of these values are mapped into a sketch in the final part that's created. And it's the same for every single one. All of these are essentially, well, they're not all sketch values. Some of them are properties, like that's the ultimate material that the part gets. But yeah, that everything in the Content Center is an iPart. And then when you place one, you're getting the child of the master iPod. But the master iPod doesn't exist. It's all coming out of this table. And then if you want to create your own Content Center, you've got to you can add your own rows into here. So you have to create your own library, and then you have to edit the Content Center and then add rows. And then if there's like, I mean, we do this all the time. There's like bolts that there isn't at the right length. You want a longer bolt. You can right click and then add, when you're in the editor, add a new row, and then you can add something on extra. So yes, it's all iParts. It's funny though, they haven't added much to this over the years. EB, mate. Oh, thanks for the super chat. Let's wait for the jingle, which probably isn't going to happen. Your videos really helped me at my new job, so it's only fair that I return the favour by joining TFI. The Curtis Wiggs, knew his name immediately. I see the Wiggs pack, I recognise his name. Wiggs pack book is really good. Thank you very much, EB. Much appreciated. Yes, Curtis is really, really good as well. If you can find any resources from Curtis, highly recommend them as well. And the jingle has failed me yet again. I'll give you a jingle. Give you a jingle. Thanks for watching the video. I don't know why it's not firing. I'm just going to give up. I'll have to set up the logs for the next one I do, so XSplit can look into it. But thank you, EB. Much appreciated. Thank you for your support. Very much appreciated. So yeah, anyway, I was saying, Autodesk haven't added much to this over the years. It seems like it's just the same stuff. Then I don't know whether someone in Autodesk just think to themselves, there's enough bolts and washers in there for everyone. But I don't know. I think they could probably build on this quite easily without getting tied down to brands. You know, they'd struggle to put in things like cylinders and pumps and stuff like that. But I'm sure they could. It is lacking a fair few sizes, because we've put in hundreds, possibly thousands of additional bolts and washers in here, because the sizes are just they just stop at pretty small points. So I don't know. I wouldn't want that job. I wouldn't want to be going through the content center and adding new stuff in there. That's a soul destroying job. But I thought, that's good, Loon. Good, mate. Good. Yes, that's the content center. So if you want to make your own one, you go to projects, and then this little button down here in the projects, and then assuming you're using desktop content, create a library, and then I suppose you could use your own library. Ticket, and then you go into an assembly. Is it manage? And then content center editor. And then what most people do is they'll take an existing, I think they call them families. So they'll take an existing family and then they'll copy it to your library. Or you can either copy or save a copy as. Oh wow, that was loud. A read-write user library is required for copying. Okay, I mustn't have done something. I mustn't have set it up right. But yeah, you do a save copy as, and then you copy it to your library. And you can then edit the tables. Why didn't it work? My library. Oh, why is it read only? Well, that'll be why it didn't work. But why is my library read only? Let's make a new one. TF5. It should have been read write. Funky. Let's try that again, shall we? So, content center editor. Let's go to hex head or whatever. There we go. That's what I was expecting to see. So save copy to TFI. And then it takes a copy of that entire family, that entire iPart table, takes a copy of it, and then drops it into your library. And then you can go to the family table and then start editing it. Alex Made, you've been dealing with VB.net and bypassing iLogic. There are pros and cons. Thanks for the super chat, mate. Jingle still doesn't. This is really. Why is it not working? It literally says automatic connected. Never mind. So you've been dealing with VP.net and bypassing. Yeah. If you can get through into the API and then make things happen through that way, then you're pretty much invaluable. If you can automate stuff through the API in Inventor, then yeah, you can probably name your price for a lot of companies. Yeah. If you can understand what a company wants, figure out a way to automate it, put a number on it, work out how much that's going to save them, you can name your price really for automation. It's funny with the jingle not working. It's not. I needed to work. I want the German guy coming. Yeah, thanks for watching the video. It's I hate it when things don't work. That's what it's all about. I hate it when things don't work, especially when it blatantly should. If it worked properly, I'd find the next thing that doesn't work. I'll end up trying to nail something else that doesn't work. But yes, that's your content center. Curious how this passes. When Autodesk are like internal meetings and they're doing their design, presenting to each other internally for what they're going to put in the product. How did this pass? Nothing else in Inventor looks like that. Like, product consistency has been a big thing in Autodesk for a while. That's not what else in Autodesk looks like that, other than, like, I would say copy design in Vault, but even, I mean, this looks a bit better than copy design in Vault. But what an unusual layout of buttons. And obviously it's not following the dark mode either. It's Eclipse mode. It's just weird. It's just weird how someone either missed that or let that fly. You'd think someone would have been like, "How man, you kind of put that in. That looks nothing like the rest of Inventor. Make it look like that. Boom, boom. Come on, make it look like the rest of Inventor. Get back on it." Unless they just went, "Oh crap, it looks absolutely god awful, but we haven't got time to fix it. It just has to go in." I don't know. You've been doing this with the help from the guy that wrote the API interface for Inventor. Tell me more. Who's this guy that wrote the interface? Who is this guy? And what's he doing now? What would the guy who wrote the API interface for Inventor be doing now? I would have some questions for him. Tell him to rewrite the flipping toolbar on Content Center. Unless he's not working for Autodesk anymore, which I suspect he's not. Right. Brian. Oh, I've heard of Brian. Oh, I've heard of Brian. Right, mate. We're 3 minutes away from wrapping up. So give us a shoot if there's anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up. Anyone got any requests for cars that you want to have silhouetted? Because this is what I'm spending my weekend doing. Oh, I just love them. I don't know. I just see, that tickles my pickle. Like, you lot might get excited about, I don't know, how big of an oil rig you can design, or I don't know, engines and motors and hydraulic pressure values or whatever. This is me. I just that. Love it. Can you promote one of your ideas in the idea station, mate? Go for it. Fill your boots. Fill your boots. I respect your enthusiasm at wanting to make things better. You would love to see some workflows in tube and pipe design. I might. I can't say anything yet, but there's possibly some good news coming on that soon. Stay tuned for that. Can't say any more, but if you're into tube and pipe, possibly some good news coming soon. Nothing guaranteed, it's just there's been something happen that would benefit, and it just makes the situation better, is what I'm saying. Tube and pipe. I've never used tube and pipe. I've never used it. I mean, I taught tube and pipe about 10 years ago. I think I did one training course on tube and pipe. I don't know how I blagged my way through it, but I sat in front of about 10 people who probably worked for somewhere like Sellafield or something. I can't remember, it probably wasn't Sellafield, but something like that. And I taught about 10 people how to use tube and pipe. No idea how I managed to get away with it. And I haven't used it since. I might have used it in like What's New videos where I've been like playing around with, oh, this is new in tube and pipe. Oh Christ, I'm gonna have to figure out how I test that. But yeah, I'm not an expert on tubing and pipe, mate. Like, I can use it as in like, I can start a run. I can edit a run. I can create a run. I can create a style. But that's probably what you can do. You can probably create a style. You can tell it which 90-degree fitting you want to use. You can tell it which 45-degree fitting you want to use. I can do that. You can probably do that. If you can't do that, then you probably don't need more help with tube and pipe. You probably need just baseline help with tube and pipe. But I can do that. I can probably start a run, pick a point, tell it I want it to go here. It then gives you the automatic route. I'm pretty sure you can sort of reference off of side planes and stuff like that. And then that's kind of where the extent of my skills end. The foundation of the channel is, and my skills have always been based around knowing the intricacies of certain things, like getting involved with things so much that I know what to do, what not to do. If you do this, don't do that, because then this will happen. Oh, you want to do that? Well, you need this funky workaround. That's kind of where everything's been born from on this channel. I haven't got that with tube and pipe. All I can do is probably the baseline of what you'd read in a textbook. So that's why anything that I've not covered on the channel yet, it's because of that. Tube and pipe, certainly iLogic. FEA to a certain extent. Most stuff. Most of them, yeah. Name something that I haven't covered, and it's probably because of that. I don't know it. I know it well enough where I could probably teach beginners enough that they can get going, but I can't really teach people or guide people who are pretty good at it already to get better at it, if you know what I mean. But I did hear rumours like a while ago that they were thinking about completely overhauling tubing and piping. There was rumours of that, but it just seems to have. I don't know if it's because I've not been around the people who were talking about the rumours, but it just seems to have fizzled away and not really heard much from it. But I just heard chitter chatter that was happening. But a paperclip on the right of your screen giving useless advice would make tube and pipe better. What's wrong with it? I don't even know what. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't know what's wrong with it. I'm trying to think. All the complaints I've heard about it over the years, I don't actually even know what's so bad about it. It's obviously it's not heavy plant design. It was never designed for that. I think what it was designed for was like, you just need to represent the fact that there's a bit of hose going from here to here, and no one's going to build to that. If the thing comes in and a technician's got to put the hose there, he's going to ignore everything you've done. He's going to put the hose wherever he wants to put it. I think that's what it was intended for. I mean, sure, you can get parts lists and stuff off it, but whether they expected you to do that or not, I don't know. Let's just try using it. Okay. Same issue as 3D Sketch. Alright, so you mean like it's difficult to pinpoint where you want things to go? You've probably got to use a triad. And see, when you teach tube and pipe, you tend to show it the sexy way, which is to like, you pick 2 points, and then you get the auto route, and then it automatically picks the route, and then that's obviously when people don't know any better, that's the best thing they've ever seen in their life. Oh, it just picks the best route. Oh, and the bits of pipe that it's picking are based on the standards and the right, it's not going to ask me to specify a bit of pipe that's too long that could actually be cut from that standard. Oh, that's amazing. Whether that actually works in reality, I don't know. It has to be. I don't think it has to be used with AutoCAD Electrical. You're not thinking of cable and harness. I think you're thinking of cable and harness. So tube and pipe and cable and harness are two completely separate things. And even the cable and harness module is that's something I've absolutely never really dived into. I did a bit, like I sold Inventor back in the olden days to a company that makes massive road signs, and part of the demo was to show them how all the electrics and PCB stuff happens. So I kind of fiddled with it back then, but you don't need AutoCAD Electrical to use the cable and harness stuff, but it does have that link. When you install Inventor, you've got the AutoCAD Electrical to Inventor link, and I think it's some kind of data link where if you edit, it links the two together. So if you've got a 3D wire in an Inventor model, it'll represent that with a 2D wire in an AutoCAD Electrical drawing. And if you move one, then the other updates. That sounds dead futuristic and like it's not going to fail at all. But I don't know. It just, like we could use that, but it just sounds like such effort. And like, I've got so many bad experiences with these kinds of data links just going wrong and having so many limitations that I'm not even tempted to try it. Because we've got teams of engineers and electrical engineers, and we could manage we could design, not even design the wires and cables in 3D, but we could link them into 3D based on the 2D schematics and whatever the electrical engineers do. But what's the point? Why do you need that? We don't need to see the wires in 3D for us anyway. It might be different for other people. We just don't need to see them. The thing arrives on the shop floor, the technicians, they just route them wherever they can, wherever it fits. And it's all done on the 2D drawing. Anyway, right, we're 5 minutes over, mate. That is the live stream done and dusted for another week. Right, so what I'm going to do, mate, if you remember, pop on over into Discord. So over the next week, I'll have a chat with you lot about what you want to do with this. Because it's... Oh, hello. That's me stool falling over. I'll have a... So max about 30 people turned up. It's still good. It's still a decent amount of people. So I just want to hear back from you lot whether you want this to keep going every week or whether it should be once every 2 weeks. And in the middle, I'll just do regular live streams with everyone in. So yeah, I don't know. Should we do this one once every 2 weeks with more regular live streams or not? So we'll have a chat over Discord on that. And then we'll pick that up as and when. So thank you very much to everyone. Thanks, EB, for joining, mate. See you over in Discord. And yeah, have a good weekend. And yeah, see you in the next one.